Sup, fuckers, Accolonn here, and welcome back to another speculation video. Of course, today we're looking at Xal'atath, the Blade of the Black Empire. Now, you might be thinking, oh my god, man, the lore has been done on this. I don't do lore. If you want lore, head over to Noble. I myself do that. He is very, very good when it comes to lore. He understands it very, very well. So while I draw on the lore quite heavily, I exist somewhere in the middle, right? So in the parts where there is no lore, or where there's gaps, I try and fill in the gaps. It's kind of like the guy who colors outside the lines, but not so far out that it doesn't make sense. But lore speculation is a team sport. It's not really something that I can do on my own. So one of the things that you have to do while watching any of my videos is you have to think with an open mind. You have to keep an open mind at all times, but you also have to be very critical of the things that I say. If I say something in this video that you don't agree with, or you go, mate, no, it's clear because you missed this one thing, and this one thing clearly points to this thing, you have to let me know in the comment section below. Alternatively, you are more than welcome to join the Discord. The link is in the description down below. And in that Discord, you can come and say, hey, dude, I love your videos, but there's this, and this that you missed in this video. Or maybe you have a completely new theory on something completely unrelated to this video. When it comes to Xal'atath, though, very little is known, right? Very, very little. We know that she is truly fucking ancient, right? She comes from the days of the Black Empire. It is even said that she can show her wielders visions of the Black Empire. The problem with that, though, is they surely go mad. Like, they go insane as soon as they see any visions of the Black Empire, leading me to believe that the Black Empire is a place I want to fucking see. I want to go there. I need to see what this Black Empire looks like. So Blizzard, please, series, maybe, I don't know, or movie even, give us a glimpse of what the Black Empire actually looked like at the height of its power, right? What we do know about Xal'atath is extremely limited, as I said already. We know that through the history, she's had multiple masters, and she has almost in every single situation betrayed the master that she had. And this is going to be true now. If you think for 1 second that Xal'atath is simply going to be retired at the end of Legion and we will never again deal with her, you're crazy, right? You are nuts. It means you know nothing about Xal'atath. You know nothing about her history. Even though the Naga was possessive, in her own words, of their artifacts, they could not hold on to her for long. She eventually made her way back up to the surface into the hands of another mortal, betrayed that mortal, betrayed the next one, betrayed the next one. This is what Xal'atath does. But I want to know, what is Xal'atath? I'm not interested in what Xal'atath could become. I want to know what she is. Because she wasn't always a blade. Just remember that. Xal'atath, the way in which she speaks, tells you that she was once something else. Whatever that might be, we don't know, but we're gonna try and find out, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll believe as I do. Right, so the first belief is that Xal'atath is somehow part of Yogg-saron, right? So she is the claw of Yogg-saron, or she was part of his body at some point, and when he got ripped out of Azeroth, she somehow, or her essence, remained, and it was somehow placed inside the blade. There's a number of problems with that theory, and most of it comes from Xal'atath's whispers, right? If we listen to the whispers that Xal'atath gives throughout her throughout the expansion really, she never speaks of the old gods as her masters, right? In not a single whisper does she refer to any of the old gods as her masters. She speaks more of them as kin, as brethren, as something equal to her. Right? When she does refer to the Masters, she is always talking about the Void Lords, not the old gods. Take for example this one. I long for the day our Masters can truly pass into this realm. You have only seen fragments, shadows, the faintest of echoes. Ask the ethereals what one of these manifestations are capable of. Right? So she speaks of the Void Lords as her masters, but when she speaks about the old gods, it goes more like this. I know the Naru considers us horrors to be resisted. We do not share this view. They are merely beloved brethren that lost the true path. they will return to their masters in time. Every single whisper, and you can look at this, you can look it up if you want to, but every single whisper where she speaks about anything else, she speaks about the old gods, it is consistently, she names them, right? So there, a spy for N'Zoth, we should kill it, right? So it's not a spy for my master, or she never speaks of the old gods in a sort of beloved worshipping fashion, right? It's never my masters. Every single time she refers to them, it is by name. It is to see Yogg-Saron's nightmare in full bloom fills me with jealousy and some pride. So I take pride in what Yogg-Saron has done, but I don't care about him. He's not the one I worship. He's not the one from which I come, right? So Xal'atath doesn't appear to have the same kind of love for the old gods that what their followers do. Whenever we fought one of the followers of one of the old gods, those followers consistently named the old god whom they follow. Xal'atath never speaks of the masters as the old god's ultimate victory. When she speaks of the masters, it's always the masters as in the Void Lords. Now you might say, but Accolonn, that doesn't refute the fact that she could come from Yo'Solosquad. It simply means that because Yo'Solosquad is now dead, she no longer has a master. The truth is, though, from everything that we've seen with the Void, whenever one of the masters die, so one of the old gods die, the followers of that old god will latch onto a new old god, or the new old god will simply start to whisper to them, and eventually, you know, they will start following him. Not Xal'atath. Xal'atath does not do the same thing here. Instead, in one of her whispers, she says the following: "It is ironic that the weakest of us may be the ultimate victor. Cthulhu, Yogg-Saron, Ye'Siraj, and, well, only one would remain to consume the world. That was always meant to be." Please note that in not a single one of the names mentioned does she mention N'Zoth. She says Cthulhu, Yogg-Saron, Ye'Siraj, and, well, so where's N'Zoth? Should we infer that she simply well, N'Zoth is the final one, but why not then just say N'Zoth? However, if you have followed anything that I said in the beginning of this video, you'll know I don't think Xal'atath is the Claw of Ye'Siraj. Instead, I kind of think Xal'atath is an old god. I believe she's an old god that was among the first, right? She was defeated by the other old gods long before the Titans even arrived. She fell to the old gods and was imprisoned inside the dagger. Just bear with me. Cthulhu, Yogg-Saron, Ye'Siraj, and, well, why would she not say N'Zoth? Could it be that N'Zoth isn't the final one remaining? That while we believe that N'Zoth is the final old god, he's not. She knows it. She won't tell us. She's not going to say that she is an old god, because that means that we will make sure she is defeated, or the blade at least is defeated. She needs to keep all of that under wraps. Why has she also traded masters so often? Why does she judge her masters based on the power? And when they fail her, she strikes them down. She simply leaves them for another. She is consistently looking for more power. Now you're probably thinking, Accolonn, your whispers right now, the whispers that you're drawing from, proves nothing. How about this one? Though he is not one of our servants, he has heard our whispers. They darkened him forever. And then another one. It was thought that his kind was incorruptible. A lesson from my brothers, I suppose. My brothers. In other words, not my masters, as all of the other followers of the old gods call them. Even Deathwing spoke of his masters, right? The old gods is his masters. He never considered himself equal to them. Xal'atath does consider herself equal. A lesson from my brothers, I suppose. So the question becomes, what happened to her? How did it happen? Now we have one whisper that gives us at least some insight into what might have possibly happened to her. A whisper I used earlier, but a whisper that now gives us more insight into what could possibly have happened to Xal'atath is of course when you enter Orgrimmar with the blade, where she says, "We may face some of my brethren in this conflict, a prospect that delights me. Their power will be mine. They will pay for what was done to me long ago." Who could she possibly be talking about here? She's in Orgrimmar. Now, please remember that Orgrimmar never existed in her time. During the days of the Black Empire, Orgrimmar did not exist. During the days of the Black Empire, the Orcs were not yet on Azeroth. The Orcs would come much, much later. If she says my brethren, first of all, she says, "We may face some of my brethren in this conflict, a prospect that delights me. Their power will be mine. They will pay for what was done to me long ago." Right, so why does she whisper this in Orgrimmar? Now, the first thing is that most people point to is this is just a lie. As I explained in my previous video, either we accept all of the whispers from the old gods and from Xal'atath as true, or we consider none of them true. Because we don't know which ones are lies and which ones aren't. So it goes to who does she speak about here? Now we know that the trolls are the oldest race on Azeroth. They predate every other race on Azeroth. So could it be that she's speaking about the trolls? Although the trolls were very much against the old gods. The trolls in the final moments of the Black Empire, when the Black Empire actually already fell, but the Black Empire's remnants were still visible. The trolls hunted the servants of the old gods down. The Amani tribe hunted them so far as Zulaman. Right? So the trolls were very much in opposition to the old gods. Could it be that the trolls existed during the days of the Black Empire? It is even said when you look at the troll page on Gamepedia that the trolls was simply created by the Well of Eternity's influence on Azeroth. Right, so the races that sprung up from the Well of Eternity was essentially, one of them were the trolls. Right, so while they predate any other race on Azeroth, they are the only race that was never created through any interference by either the old gods or by the Titans. Right? We can't really talk about the Orcs in this instance because the Orcs came from Draenor. Much of their history and how they came to be is also unknown, but we do know that they were not an experiment of the Titans or of the old gods on Azeroth. So this is why the trolls kind of take the place of the first non-old god or Titan created race. Then of course we have the Goblins, who also share a lineage with the old gods, but also with the Titans. And the reason I say this is Mimiron found an ore called Khajiit, and he was very interested in the workings of this ore. What would happen if the different races on Azeroth started consuming this ore? How would they be influenced by this? What he found was that it gave them extreme intelligence, but it created the Goblin. Now, the Goblin shares this common ancestor with the Pygmy. The Pygmy, of course, I believe, were the ones who didn't eat from the Khajiit. So they never turned into goblins. Instead, they naturally progressed into what the Pygmy is today. Now, while the Pygmy might appear to be extremely primitive, it's only to us. We don't know much about the Pygmy. If you go onto their Wowpedia page, you'll see it's a very, very short page. We know almost nothing about them. So could Xal'atath be talking about the goblins in Orgrimmar? That the goblins are in fact her brethren? Because we don't know what the race was that originally ate the first Khajiit. We just know that Mimiron used the Khajiit on one of the races, and this gave them intense intelligence. Could it be that the goblins, their race, were the ones who created the dagger that Xal'atath would ultimately end up in? Could it be that they always had an affinity for creating things? The Khajiit simply made them more intelligent, so it increased the stuff that they could make. A blade, in terms of weaponry, if we look on our world, on Earth, right, weaponry and tools is one of the first things that we could create as a people, right? It was one of the earliest things we find. If we look at the earliest tools, we find weapons as our earliest tools. Could it be that this is exactly it? This race of goblin that would eventually become goblin, they created a dagger in service to the old gods. And this dagger was then used to imprison their sister. The old gods defeated Xal'atath. She wasn't strong enough at the time, but her essence was then placed into the blade. Now you might ask, Accolonn, to what end? Why would the old gods want this? Why would they want one of their own to be inside a blade? Well, we get back to the original whisper that we talked about a little bit earlier. It is ironic that the weakest of us may be the ultimate victor. Cthulhu, yogg-saron, Yogg-saron, and, well, if we enter into that ... and Xal'atath, then Xal'atath is the weakest. Why does she not even mention N'Zoth? Well, there's another whisper from Xal'atath that leads me to believe that Xal'atath and N'Zoth may have worked together. N'Zoth may never have been a part of her imprisonment, of her destruction. Because we know that it is said that N'Zoth fought at one point against Cthulhu and Yogg-saron at the same time. But why? Why would two old gods be teaming up against one? And why would one old god even stand for this? Why was Yogg-saron not fighting alongside N'Zoth then? Why would N'Zoth not seek to make allies? Unless, of course, he had an ally. His ally was simply not strong enough. She was defeated much earlier. And this is why N'Zoth was left to fight them on their own. And then, of course, she whispers this. And this is the first time where we see some admiration for one of the old gods. Up until now, all of the old gods she speaks about is simply her brothers. They're equal to her. They're nothing special. Her masters, of course, very special. But here we see a little bit of admiration. It was year and ages past that the god of the deep lost a great battle to the god of seven heads. But as was so often the case, even defeat ultimately worked in N'Zoth's favor. In other words, what if the goblins were the servants of N'Zoth? N'Zoth, we know now, if you watch Balilur's video where he shows what they found at the end of the Emerald Nightmare, and what we found with Kil'jaeden already, right? And Archimonde in the previous Warlords of Draenor expansion, right? If we look at those things, we know that N'Zoth is a master strategist. In other words, when N'Zoth entered into this battle with Cthulhu and Yogg-saron, right? When he entered into this battle alongside Xal'atath, he knew that Xal'atath would fall, but he had a plan. He had his goblin servants construct a weapon. And maybe he actually turned on Xal'atath in the end, in order to ensure that he could imprison her, just so that she could be of use to him later on. Could that be why Xal'atath is speaking the way she does when she enters Orgrimmar? I don't know. What I do know is that everything that Xal'atath tells us does not point me in the direction of her being simply one of the followers of the old gods. She appears to think of herself as equal to them, if not in some ways actually more intelligent and stronger than them now. And it's very interesting when she says Cthulhu, Yogg-saron, Yogg-saron, and, well, why not N'Zoth? Where's N'Zoth's name? Could it be that she herself is also busy with a long game? Because she is a dagger, she cannot yet turn into her primordial form. She now is left with this one unfortunate fucking form, the blade, and she has to consume more and more power in order to ensure that at some point she grows strong enough to exit the blade, to become whole again, to become the old god that we forgot about so long ago. Now I know what a lot of you are thinking. Accolonn the Chronicles made it very clear that there is only 4 old gods. Now you guys know already my problem with the Chronicles, and that there is a few contradicting elements inside the Chronicles. But there was historically mention of 5 old gods. The Warcraft 3 manual, for example, and then an in-game book, the old gods and the Ordering of Azeroth, all pointed to 5 old gods chained beneath the world. Now, at the time of that book, that might have been true. Remember, Xal'atath was lost to the Naga. The Naga, of course, under the earth, so to speak, and chained because no one knew what happened to Xal'atath at that time. Then, of course, Blizzard came out with the Chronicles, and they made sure that there was only 4. 4 probably being easier. But also, if you think that the Chronicles, like myself, was written by someone from someone's perspective, and not, in fact, the canon lore of World of Warcraft, then the next line is going to be interesting. Nearloth is one of the developers, or not a developer really, more of a community guy. He was one of the first guys who started answering people on the forums when they had questions about lore. They asked him, so the people on the forum asked him, why is there so many contradictions? And he commented with the following: perhaps to actually destroy something that lives outside of time and space, life and death, you would have to erase it from existence completely. Alright, so Xal'atath is erased in many ways from existence completely. She's not mentioned as an old god. Not even close. But what if she is? What if all of the whispers that I've shown you now is in fact her telling us in her own way that I am an old god. I was once part of their empire. They are my brothers. They killed me, they defeated me, they pushed me into a blade. So, I'm no longer an old god because I'm now a blade. That would be true, technically it would be true. Xal'atath isn't an old god, she is a blade. There of course is one final whisper that I wanted to share with all of you. This whisper was the first one that really put me on this path. And it was, the light would have your kind remain obedient and stagnant. I offer the gifts of freedom and strength. I hope you remember my kindness. Now, for that I had to go to the Cthulhu mythos. For those of you who don't know, H.P. Lovecraft has heavily influenced the works of the old gods. Pretty much everything that Blizzard has on the old gods can in some way be drawn from the H.P. Lovecraft series. Now in this it says, at the proper time, the secret priest would take great Cthulhu from his tomb to revive his subjects and resume his rule of Earth. Then mankind would have become as the great old ones, free and wild and beyond good and evil, with laws and morals thrown aside and all men shouting and killing and reveling in joy, reveling in joy rather. Then the liberated old ones would teach them new ways to shout and kill and revel and enjoy themselves. And all the earth would flame with a holocaust of ecstasy and freedom. Xal'atath says here, not we. She doesn't say we offer the gifts of freedom and strength. She says I offer the gifts of freedom and strength. I hope you remember my kindness, not our kindness, my kindness. If you still have doubt, then I'd love to hear from you, because in all fairness, it is the only thing that makes sense. At this point, if you have any other theories, I'd love to hear them. I truly would. But from my side, from what I believe, from what I know to be true, and from everything that I've looked at, everything that I've read about Xal'atath and the ordering of our world, it can only be this one thing. None of the other subjects of the old gods speak in this manner. They speak about their masters coming, and they name their masters by name. Inside the Dragon Soul raid, for example, when we fight the general of Cthulhu, he speaks, rather the general of N'Zoth, sorry. He speaks about N'Zoth. He mentions N'Zoth by name. Not a single time does he refer to N'Zoth as his brother, because N'Zoth isn't his brother. N'Zoth is his master. The Void Lord's not really. He doesn't serve the Void Lords. He serves the old god, N'Zoth. and through N'Zoth, he serves the Void Lord. And then, of course, if you like this video, if you like videos like this one, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comment section below exactly what you think here. There's a couple of things still open to speculation, a couple of things I still really need to touch on. For example, Orgrimmar, its significance, the races there, why does Xal'atath have such a big problem with that? And then, of course, the ultimate thing that still needs to be talked about is the Tomb of Sargeras. That place seems to be very, very important to Xal'atath and to the old gods and to the Legion. Why is that place so very important? What power is inside that area? Because it is not the Tomb of Sargeras. The fights, the battles that occurred on that area before the Tomb of Sargeras was even built is long before the Tomb of Sargeras was even built. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and then everything in this video. If you have anything that I've said that you don't agree with, let me know in the comment section below. Guys, then I want to give a big shout out to the guys over on Patreon. Thank you so much for your monthly contributions. It does mean the world to me. Thanks to you, videos like this one and others is possible. Thanks to you, we're going to keep growing and keep building this channel up to, at some point, be a hell of a lot more professional. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. To everyone that keeps donating over on PayPal, thank you so much for those donations. Thanks to you, I'm getting to build up my PC, build up the system, get some shit at the background here. So hopefully by the end of this year, you will see a brand new show happening. It will happen before the end of the year already, but you guys will take part in the journey as we get there. So hopefully towards the middle of the year, we'll already be a hell of a lot further down the line than we are right now. To everyone that keeps subscribing to me over on Twitch, thank you so much for those subscriptions. It does mean the world to me. Thank you so much for that. Everyone that wants to support themselves by getting themselves a little bit something, but also support me by buying it from my shop, please head over to Teespring, link in the description down below. Buy any of the shirts on your screen right now. New shirt right here in the corner, one of the corners, it will be there. Please click on the link below if you want any of those shirts. Guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Accolonn. As always, I will see you guys very shortly with some more World of Warcraft news. Bye bye, guys.